Chumripsur, Namaste, hello. It was here at Phnom Kulen in Cambodia that the mighty Khmer Empire was born when Jayavarman II anointed himself king, breaking away from the Hindu Java Empire. In this series, we will see how the Indic influence was absorbed and adopted into the local culture and is still a pivot point around which the Cambodian culture and life revolve.
Hello and welcome again to Forgotten Temples with myself, Mr. B, as you and I have another brief adventure going on the trail of those Hindu gods. Now, what you see behind me is not what you should be seeing, because this is the cell, it's the ashram, and this would have been inside a large tower. An enormous brick tower would have surrounded it, but alas, it has gone. And one of the things that always bewilders me is, where do all these bricks and stuff go? I mean, it's like they just walk off. Well, the locals use them. They've been doing it for centuries. And there's a very interesting story about Hadrian's Wall. They couldn't work out why large lumps of it were just gone. But when checking with the local farmers, it turns out they'd carted them off and to this very day are still using them for sheep pen. What you've also probably noticed is this. There is a large impact right here. And what this is in fact a hit from an RPG round. That's a rocket propelled grenade, and we can tell by the strike point here it was fired from directly there. Somebody with a shoulder mounted RPG has gone and hit this. There is also bullet holes. Can you see here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on. Somebody has literally stood and sprayed this thing with live rounds. And the person that did that was a member of the Khmer Rouge, because this place was a stronghold for them during the Civil War. Even to this day, there is still landmines in this area, and it's only very recently that people like myself could come here, because it was an absolute strictly no-go area. It was just too unsafe. But isn't it amazing? An RPG round that would disable, a light infantry vehicle like a personnel carrier was not enough to take out this, which is nigh on 1,000 years old. But have a look, can you see this square here as we go round? This is one single slab of stone. It is mightier than an awful lot of tanks, and that is why it survived. It is stubborn and it refused to go down. But if you have an exceptionally keen eye, what you'll notice as well is along the top there are faces looking down upon us, and it is those faces we're interested in, because in this episode we are going to look directly into the face of an ancient Indian trader. It's the closest we can get to having a photograph of one of them. It is wildly exciting. But firstly, let's nip inside here so we can appreciate this fully. Ashram has had a fascinating history. It was built with devotion. It was loved and adored, but then it was slammed with bullets and bombs. And if those indignities were not enough, it was looted mercilessly, because this entire city suffered to an awful lot of looting due to it being in such a remote location. But it's inside we need to go. For in here once dwelled a god And it's in here we can actually see the other side of that RPG round. You see here, this is directly opposite where that rocket propelled grenade slammed into it. There was a splintering effect as the shards came this way. But this wondrous temple shook, but it did not fall. It is an absolutely divine place to be. This episode's primary concern is not of the gods. It is about the traders and those early explorers. Do you remember me saying that there were faces looking down upon us in that opening sequence? Well, look, here they are. They surround this temple. But what is very interesting is at another location not so far away from here is a face that is believed to be of an Indian trader. It is here, walking through the rain, we head towards our target. This is one of the groupings of temples here at Sambo, KuK. And this site was deeply significant. We cannot underestimate it, because here in the inscriptions we know that there were statues to not just Shiva but also Vishnu and Brahma. But what we're interested in lays in this tower right here. It is here at this significantly holy place we see an absolutely unique depiction, that of what we could gently describe as a foreigner. Have a look here. This has been debated and discussed for thousands of hours by so many scholars, but it is quite clear this gentleman's features are not native to this area. Look at that resplendent moustache, that angular nose. It is widely suggested that this chap is in fact Indian. This is inside that tower. I've just shown you a quick pan shot of the outside of it. At its very centre is this plinth. It's absolutely enormous. It's built on a biblical scale. And that face we've just looked at is just out through that doorway, only a few yards. And that is very significant because it indicates so much. That foreign face, we can't be absolutely sure, of course not. But it is widely agreed it is a depiction of an Indian, and one that actually lived. And the smart money would say he held a high rank within the religious order, or he was a particularly wealthy or powerful trader. But whoever he was, he has become immortal. And he must have been at such an elevated level because his face is depicted right where all those major gods are. I mean, he's just a few feet from the very heart of this temple group. The imagination goes wild to imagine as to who this gentleman could have been and as to what his role was in this temple building process. But one thing's for sure, he certainly was linked in to that information superhighway. Another incredible tale from another far-off land. And I'll tell you what, this room I'm just leaving is always one that I find it so hard to tear myself away from. It reminds me very much of being in the king's tomb at the pyramids at Giza. It is an absolutely amazing space. And if you get the chance to come here to Sambo Prayer KuK, I highly recommend it. Now then, if you enjoy our little adventures together and the tales they tell, then please, I beg of you, leave a comment down below, because these short videos are being sponsored, and they're being sponsored by the Embassy of India, and they want to know, because if you like them, they may well do some more. And it would be wonderful for you and I to go tripping on out and see what other wonders await us. But until next time, this is Mr. B wishing you absolutely nothing but the very best. You take good care.